What is going on, everybody? This is Audible Sportscast. All right, we got Brett and Jeff here. How's it going, Brett?
Good.
Good.
Happy early Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Hopefully, you get to eat some turkey, listen to this, and watch some football. So, there's some Thanksgiving games we'll be looking at later. It's always a tradition for a couple of these teams to be playing on Thanksgiving. They do every year. Let's dive right into it. So last week, we did a lot better last week. We both went 10-5. That's a lot more respectable than normal.
Even
Um,
with the upsets.
yeah, there's a couple upsets that kind of put us down. But hey, I'll take 10-5 at any day of the week. But yeah, let's look at some of these games for this week. It's week 12. There's still a lot of teams kind of in this playoff hunt. There's one or two spots that are kind of wide open for each conference right now. So it'll be interesting to see who makes it. Who knows? Some of these teams that have a losing record right now can easily still make it. So let's
Oh
see
yeah.
what happens. But first up, we got what's become a tradition for Thanksgiving the last several years. We got Chicago Bears going into Detroit to play the Lions. Potentially Matt Nagy's last game as their head coach. What's going to happen here?
I mean, you would think the Bears win this game easily, but if the players really want Nagy gone, do they lose it?
I mean, that's a good point, but it's going to be kind of hard. I mean, Detroit is a tough team, but I mean, Tim Boyle doesn't look. He didn't at least last week look that impressive. Who
That's
is
true.
he is expected to start again, or actually, I think it's been pretty much guaranteed he's going to start.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Chicago still
Yeah,
on this one
I
though.
am too. I mean, I do hope they don't blow out Detroit and they give Nagy another chance. I doubt that from the way it's talking. We hear these rumors that no matter what this is kind of his last game. He's lost the locker room. We are seeing everywhere that pretty much all the fans, Chicago sports fans, are chanting "Fire Matt Nagy." I mean, at the Bulls game against the Pacers, they were chanting
Yep.
it. So I don't know. I think I bet Chicago's kind of had their last little bit of Matt
Does
Nagy.
Chicago win out and make the playoffs?
Went out with the schedule they have.
No, they don't.
They still have to play Green Bay, Minnesota twice, Arizona, Seattle.
Yeah, no, they have a tough schedule
Yeah,
coming
they
up.
had they had one of the toughest schedules coming into the league or season, so I, didn't have that much of high hopes. It is what it is. This is what it's like being a Bears fan. But next up, we got another, kind of classic Thanksgiving when you talk about the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys will be hosting this week the Las Vegas Raiders. Do the Cowboys have a bounce back game after kind of the embarrassment against Kansas City?
I think they do. Personally, they're just a better team, and I think they just have better pieces right now than the
Yeah,
Raiders.
I mean they are kind of dealing with a lot of injuries. A lot of players are kind of banged up. That does kind of make it hard.
Yeah, but Oakland just hasn't been playing that great as of late.
No, they haven't.
It's the Gruden effect.
I mean Gruden isn't there anymore, but it's still kind of his team.
They've kind of went downhill after he resigned.
Yeah, who knows though? I mean they got kind of embarrassed by the Bengals at home. Are they gonna bounce back from that? I'm gonna go Dallas here too. But yeah, I mean just Dallas right now is the hotter team, even with that embarrassment last week and kind of the embarrassment 2 weeks ago with Denver. It's just too much potential. I mean, yeah, Raiders have a lot of pieces too, but they just haven't shown anything as of late. So yeah, I'm gonna go Cowboys too. Next up, we have a pretty kind of interesting game to wrap up the Thanksgiving games. We have Buffalo Bills who have looked, kind of been on the struggle bus as of late, versus a New Orleans Saints team that is without their starting quarterback.
Well, you could stay there on the struggle bus too.
Yeah, definitely. It kind of sucks. That defense is still playing really well, even with. Oh, for the most part, yeah, they did kind of up a lot of Eagles put up a lot of points against that defense, but it's still pretty good defense. They were in it for a
Yeah,
while.
but they just overpaid a non-starting QB on that team.
Well,
So,
yeah, if he's named the starter, he gets paid a lot more. But obviously, we're talking about Taysom Hill here, who's kind of like a
but it
gadget
doesn't it
player for him.
vary from 60 to 100 million?
I thought it was like 60 to like 80.
No, fine, 60 to 80, but even at 4 years, it's 60 million because that's what it is. Let's just say it's 4 years. That's a lot of money for a guy who does not play every snap on offense.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, they've kind of especially with their financials the last or last 2 years, especially this year they were trying to cut everyone left and right to get above salary cap. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see how things move forward with New Orleans.
I'm gonna go Buffalo because they have a starting quarterback.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go Buffalo too. Just looking at the injury report, like half of their starting offense of players are still out. They dealt with that last week too, and it being a short week, you got to remember these Thursday games are played several days earlier, a couple days earlier than what normally on a Sunday. So yeah, I'm gonna go Buffalo too. They're the healthier team right now. They might not be playing well, but they're definitely a lot healthier, and they
I
need a bounce back game kind of like this to get kind of things
I
going
know
again.
that. Well, they lost the division to New England, so
Well, so far they still play each other twice, so the
yeah.
division's
But right
definitely
now,
still up
New
in the air.
England's above them though. So
Yeah, for considering how hot they were in early stages, for them to kind of be playing like this, it is very embarrassing.
I mean, we had already like crowned them. I had for the AFC
I, I
early in the
was
season.
I was kind of short on doing that. It'll be interesting to see how the rest of the season goes. Like they're really, I mean, it seems like every other week there's kind of a new team in the AFC. Like now the Chiefs are
Yep.
kind of rolling back again. The Bills were for a while. People talked about the Raiders a little bit early in the year. I know you weren't a
I mean,
big
I
fan of them.
no, I wasn't.
The
Still, I'm
Browns
not.
a little bit. Like it's kind of been all over the place in the AFC, and it's kind of crazy to think that only a couple 5-10 years ago it was always about Peyton or Brady, a little bit of Roethlisberger, and now he's the only one really left in that conference. So it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see who makes it to the Super Bowl. There's still a lot of season left to be played. But that wraps up the Thanksgiving games. Hopefully you all enjoy your turkey watching these games or whatever main dish you all will be eating. But next up, we go to the Sunday games, and we have first to look at is the Pittsburgh Steelers heading to Cincinnati to play the Bengals. Steelers are a lot healthier this week than they have been in a couple prior weeks. They're expected to get Fitzpatrick, T.J. Watt, and Joe Hayden back for this game.
Is Claypool back?
Claypool played last week against the Chargers.
Sure, I didn't see him in the
He
game. I
did.
saw Johnson. Oh, he must have just been not playing as much
He
because
he
Johnson
was
seemed to be getting the number one reps. I mean, Johnson impressed me. So
yeah, he's been playing pretty well. Um, but I don't know. I think this is gonna be a good game. It was kind of a defensive game last time they played each other earlier in the season. I mean, that's kind of where the Big Ben trip and fall little video came from. But
and this is
Ben Roethlisberger has been playing pretty good as
yeah.
of
His
recent.
passes are. It's like he's like an. I want to say he's like an older car. You gotta give him a few games to get warmed up.
Yeah, well, it looks like maybe he's warmed up, but the
Because
thing
yeah, some of those passes, I don't know if you watched. Did you watch the Chargers game?
a little bit.
He had some passes that not many quarterbacks make anymore. Like threading the needle, literally. That none of our Bears quarterbacks could ever make.
Well,
So
maybe that little rest he had with COVID and whatnot really helped him to take that time and kind of rest up and maybe kind of do a late push for the playoffs. I mean, they're in the mix. I mean, anyone can really win that division still.
oh yeah,
So, I don't know. It'll be interesting. but who's gonna win the game? I mean, the
I think
Bengals
it's
looked really good last week against the Raiders.
well,
They're
you know my feelings on both teams, and normally you would think I'd pick Cincinnati, but I feel like Pittsburgh bounces back this week.
I mean, I can see it. I think it's gonna be a good game. I'm gonna go Cincinnati. I'm kind of they're the team I'm kind of rooting for out of that division. So when it comes to a division game, I'll give it to them.
I mean, that division is completely wide open. I
Oh
wouldn't
yeah.
say any of the teams look like they're a step ahead of the other ones. Not really.
I mean, Ravens fully healthy, definitely, but that's kind of been their issue. I mean, you can say the same with Cleveland. They haven't been healthy like at all this year.
Could say that with Pittsburgh too.
Yeah, you can definitely. That defense has been missing a couple guys every once in a while. And I mean, Juju hasn't been playing either for them. I kind of forgot about that.
No, he played like what, one game, a half a game,
Something
something
like
like that.
that. But yeah, I'm gonna go Cincinnati. I think after the bye week, fresh. The offense looked nice. They're just like they're about that team. That offense is just so balanced, and I love it. You got a really good running back in Joe Mixon. Several, really good receivers. Jamar Chase is still looking like, one of the top front runners for offensive rookie of the year. So yeah, I'm gonna go Cincinnati, but I think it's gonna be a good game, potentially even the game of the week.
Well, I think it's up there as a contender
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
it definitely is. But speaking of games that I feel like are up there, here's one that is definitely I think up there when you talk about how kind of these teams have been playing. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going into Indianapolis to play a very hot Indianapolis Colts. Does this Colts hot streak continue?
It's a tough one
It is.
because I don't know. I struggle with this one. Like
The
I'm
thing.
gonna go Tampa just because they're starting to get all their secondary back. They Vita Vea will play next week, so they'll be healthy. I don't know. I think and Gronk's back, and Gronk's good at finding those spaces. And when you have Brady, as good as Jonathan Taylor's been and Wentz has played, I don't think the Colts defense can do anything against the Bucks offense. Not really.
I think it'll be
That's
able to do a little bit, but the thing it comes down to is that Bucks defense, the last pretty much year and a half, has been one of the top rushing defenses, if not the top rushing defense. And how is that going to go against what is one of the best rushing offenses, if not the best rushing offense right now?
and Wentz has got he's like a QB average QB rating. Is it 102, 103 right now? So he's playing at the top of his game.
Yeah, I mean it'll be. I think it'll be a really fun game. I think it'll be more defensive even than people think, because they look
Well,
at both
here,
of these
this
teams.
is a true test for Taylor
Oh, definitely. I
in a
think
way,
this.
because even if it's the best rushing defense, good running backs still make plays, whether it's out of pass catching or whatever.
Oh, definitely. And he's one of those guys. He just needs a little bit of wiggle room, and he can be gone. I mean, we've kind of seen it this year. I mean, he's
He had a
looking.
little slow start, but
Yeah, but he's taking the reins right now. He is full go.
yep.
So this is a tough one for me. I want to go Indy, but I just keep thinking of that Bucks defense. Give me Tampa Bay. When in doubt, go Brady. You
Yep.
just it's a tale as old as time, a tale older than me myself. So
Interesting stat. If you saw, I don't know if you watched the whole Bucks game. I watched most of it. So, did you know that since he's 40, he's almost got more. His stats are
his stats are better now
better.
than they were when he was like in his 20s.
No. That he's got a better career than some guys who are Hall of Famers.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's pretty much
He can go 3 generations with Brady.
you really can. I mean, there's what like Calvin Johnson, the Damian Tomlinson were drafted, retired, and put in the Hall of Fame in the span of his career.
Yep.
It's crazy how just it's something we've never seen before.
It's a once in a lifetime.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure because the way football is transitioning to the more, still a pass friendly league, but more mobile quarterbacks, they just sustainability, they won't be able to last this long, or they won't want to.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I'm gonna go Tampa Bay. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard to go against Tom Brady. But next up, we have an interesting game. Panthers. They're still in the playoff hunt. They're going down to Miami to play the Dolphins, who are currently on a three-game winning streak. Does that winning streak continue?
I'm gonna say no on mine. I'm gonna go Carolina, just because Miami, over the course of the last few years, I just can't. I rarely will bet on them to win. It's hard for me to do.
You wouldn't make much money if you did.
A little.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't make any. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that Panthers defense, it is still pretty good. I mean, they've been struggling at times. They struggled last week, but I think it's still pretty good. And going against a Dolphins offense that's missing a couple pieces, it's not that good a team. They have showed some signs, but I'm gonna go Panthers here too. I mean, Cam played all right for his first game back as a starter. I mean, maybe relied a little bit on McCaffrey at times, especially late.
And his legs.
Yeah, I mean he did have a really nice 20 some yard touchdown, but I'm gonna go.
But also think he hasn't been on a team all year, so he's
He's
rusty at least throwing the ball.
yeah he. I think as the season goes, he might get a little bit better. Get kind of that. It's kind of like that old card reference you had earlier.
And I think with that, it's if I'm in that division, to be honest, Tampa. I look at Tampa as the front runner, and then we're just trying to. The other teams are fighting for a wild card.
I mean,
I know that's not the right way to think. That's not the right way to think. But ultimately, that's how I see it.
there's a lot of games left. I mean, a lot of divisional games too. I mean, a lot can still happen in that division. That's only a 3-game difference.
The Saints are out, in my opinion, with no quarterback.
I mean, they beat Tampa Bay with Trevor Siemian at quarterback, so you never know.
Yeah, flukes happen.
They definitely do. But yeah, I'm gonna go Carolina too. But next up, we have a very interesting game. We have the Tennessee Titans heading into Foxborough to play the New England Patriots, a team that is, every week getting better.
Yeah, Mac Jones is getting a lot of hype on, social media and things when most of the places that are hyping him up, though, are the people that really crapped on him. So,
Yeah. It's interesting how kind of social media works like that.
yep. Who are you picking?
This is a hard one. I mean, yeah, Tennessee did just lose against Texans, but I mean, I kind of saw that being a close game in general. I mean, they've lost to some of the worst teams, but also have beat some of the better teams. It's a very up and down kind of season for the Titans. I mean, Tennessee is still very banged up. I mean, you saw it even against Houston. There's no Julio, no Derrick Henry. They're out a lot of other starters and players. They're expected to have several players out again this week. And New England seems to be just getting right at the right time. I mean, it's a home game. Titan. I'm gonna go New England here.
As am I.
It's hard with Tennessee. It's interesting. They'll go on and lose to the Jets, and then a couple weeks later they'll go on that win streak of beating out 5 teams that made the playoffs the year prior, and then they'll end that losing streak by losing to the Texans. It's a very interesting season for the Titans right now.
I just think New England can game plan against the pass more than the run because that's where you have to watch Tennessee now. With Derrick Henry gone, I think their offensive production is down per game is down 80 yards. So
I mean, they're still rushing fairly well. They just, definitely not giving it as much. I mean, Ryan Tannehill had a crazy amount of pass attempts, and especially in a rainy game like it was that they were in, you shouldn't be doing that. So
nope.
It's interesting to kind of see what's going on in Tennessee. I mean, maybe I'm sure they will have a good bounce back game this week, but you don't want to be struggling at a time like this and then have to go and play Bill Belichick's defense.
No, because he's gonna like if Derrick Henry was there, it's a different game completely. But he gets time to scheme without Derrick Henry, which gives him the advantage, in my opinion.
I mean, I think it'll be a fun game, but definitely Patriots. Next up, we got a NFC East divisional game. We got the Philadelphia Eagles heading to the New York Football Giants. Eagles are looking a lot better than the Giants. I mean, Giants pretty much just let go of Jason Garrett as their offensive coordinator. It's going to be Freddie Kitchens, which I don't really think that's an
Oh, did they
upgrade
get
at all.
rid of him?
Yeah, Freddie Kitchens going to be the play caller this week.
Wasn't he the? Oh no, he was
Tight ends
the
coach.
coach. No, but he was the filling coach for the Browns. That's right.
Yes, and he filled in for Jason Garrett last year when Jason Garrett had COVID. This isn't anything I think special. I mean, even Freddie Kitchens.
I mean, I watched that game, and I don't know if Garrett's to blame. Their offensive line is abysmal. So
The Eagles' D line is pretty good. I mean, that's kind of always been the centerpiece of those teams. I mean, the defense is playing good and to be just everywhere. I mean, Darius Slay has kind of been the cornerstone of that team. But the Eagles are just really hot right now. A little. I mean, they they're coming off two really good wins, and they're kind of right in the middle of the playoff push.
yep,
And it's the game like this against the Giants is. I mean, I know these are always close divisional games, but this should be a game they win.
should be.
Should
Yes.
be, but lots of things can differ here. What do you think?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna go the Eagles. They're just playing very cohesive football at the moment, and their quarterback is putting up some decent numbers. So
Yeah,
he might
definitely.
even be for real. Technically, he's got. If you go off, I think his first 12 games, he's got better stats than Lamar Jackson in his first 12. So
Oh yeah, that's it. I think people maybe were a little too early on to bite on her. Yeah, I'm gonna go Eagles too. I think they're just right now the better team. I mean it's hard. They both these teams have struggled a lot this season, but yeah, the Eagles are just playing a lot better right now.
oh yeah,
Next up, we have a very, very fun game. We have the Atlanta Falcons heading to Jacksonville to play the Jaguars. Um, I don't even want to pick this game, to be honest with
I'll
you.
pick Atlanta because I'm gonna call it the Cordell Patterson effect.
Is he
He'll
going to be back this
he'll be
week?
back. Yeah, he was a game time decision last week, so yeah, he'll be back. Yeah.
All right, with Cordell back, I'll go Atlanta. Jacksonville just, you know, I mean that team wasn't, you could tell last year they were trying to do something to get that first overall pick. They get it, but now they're kind of struggling with talent. So it's tough to see them. I mean, yeah, they've had, their two wins were pretty good when considering, one was against the, Buffalo Bills, but they just haven't. They've looked abysmal.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go Atlanta, who can somewhat put up points every now and then, even though they've been shut out 73-9 their last two games. But I mean those are against playoff teams. This is Jacksonville, big difference. I'm gonna go Atlanta. Next up, we have same situation games. We have 2-8 teams: New York Jets, Houston Texans. Potentially battle for the first overall pick. Oh, actually, I take that back because Detroit's yet to win a game. They're going to get the first overall pick. Maybe battle for the second overall pick, I guess.
I think it's definitely it's a tough one,
It
but
is.
right now I have to go with the Texans just because of the Jets situation at quarterback,
Oh,
given two of
definitely.
them are out because of COVID.
Yeah. I mean, Zach Wilson obviously isn't 100% since they're not playing him. They haven't been playing him now. They're going to have to with Joe Flacco and Mike White out for COVID. But I mean, yeah, the Houston Texans are definitely in a better situation when it comes to the quarterback with Tyrod Taylor. And they're coming off a really good win against Tennessee. Maybe they'll keep that momentum going to win a couple games and then kind of chew their way out of a top
Maybe.
five pick. But yeah, I'm gonna go Houston too. Next up, we have divisional game AFC West. We have the LA Chargers heading into Denver to play the Broncos. Chargers, looked very hot last week against the Steelers, putting up, points that a Bears fan could only dream of being able to put up. Going against a Broncos team that's been, on the struggle bus.
I don't think the Broncos can score points like the Chargers can. I'm not gonna. I don't think either defense is great. I mean, the Chargers kind of showed that against Pittsburgh, but they just can. They can put up points.
Oh,
And
definitely.
Eckler's a monster.
Oh yeah, if you had Jonathan Taylor or Austin Eckler, or even both on your fantasy team last week, then kudos to you, because you
Oh yeah.
definitely didn't lose. Well, probably did. But yeah, I mean, the Denver Broncos are third in the NFL in points allowed per game. Like, it's not a good defense. I mean, yards given up, like, it's not good at all. And we've seen what the Chargers offense can do, and especially coming off that game last week, I think they should keep the momentum going. I know they've kind of been struggling in the weeks prior, but they're in a very good situation here to make a big push to get to go into the playoffs. I mean, they're right here in the
Yeah.
hunt.
And the division's pretty wide open with Kansas City kind of playing subpar. So
They might have figured themselves out though. I mean, they've came back and won two really good wins.
yeah,
So
they
it's
might.
it's
Maybe.
it's still really close. I mean, but Vegas and Denver have, you know, struggled a lot, but they're still, only a couple games out of it. So,
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
I mean, there's still a lot of games left.
oh yeah.
There is nothing guaranteed with this season.
Well, if you listen to Tom Brady, too many.
Honestly, for some of these teams, it might be too many. But yeah, I'm gonna go Chargers. Chargers 2. I just said Denver's team. It's a shit show there.
Yep.
But next up, we got L.A. Rams heading to Green Bay to play the Packers. Two teams that are still top of the league. They've maybe struggled in some games as of recent. I mean, Green Bay just seems to get no breaks. It seems like every other week they're losing a key player while still trying to get some of their key players back from injuries. But this is kind of an old-fashioned rivalry game if you consider it Matt Stafford versus Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out the Rams, just because of their offense. I don't think the Packers secondary can keep up. I mean, they have the most. I think they have the biggest average per play on offense is the Rams, I believe. So, I mean, they do have Aaron Rodgers in the Packers, but they have so many injuries, and the Rams had a week to get themselves situated with Odell.
Yeah, I mean, I it's hard to go against Aaron Rodgers, but when you just kind of look at things, that Rams team is better. How's it? And that is where the Rams lost in the playoffs last year. A lot of those players are probably going to have that chip on their shoulder. Aaron Donald's probably coming into this game furious.
Von Miller, getting him hyped up.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're still still waiting to see what some of these new players that they've acquired are going to do. Hopefully, Odell doesn't bring them some bad luck. I mean, we've kind of seen him kind of destroy everywhere he's went so far, in some
Yeah,
senses. Will McVay be able to coach him up? That's a real question.
we will see.
We will have to see. I'm gonna go Green Bay. I'm gonna go against my gut here. Probably a bad decision, but my gut's been wrong a lot of the time. So I'm gonna go Green Bay to go kind of against you. But next up, we have a game that's very big for when it comes to the playoff hunt. We have the Minnesota Vikings coming into the San Francisco Bay area, even though it's a little bit out of the Bay Area, to play the 49ers. This is a very big game with a lot of playoff implications. Both these
I
teams
don't
are
have
fighting
much
for a spot.
faith in Minnesota, me personally. So I'm gonna go the Niners, but it is an either way type of game.
I mean, both of these teams are relying a lot on their offenses. It seems like both kind of have had some high-profile offensive playing the last couple weeks. I think this is going to be a very high-scoring game. I feel like,
I
or it
think so.
has the
Yeah.
potential to be. How's that defensive front for the 49ers going to play against a Minnesota offensive line? Fred Warner and crew is playing really well, but that secondary is a problem for the 49ers.
That it is.
You said you're going 49ers?
I am.
I'm
You're
I'm
gonna
a,
go Vikings to
I'm
try to
I'm
catch up.
I'm gonna go Vikings. I mean, I'm kind of picking NFC North here left and right. Obviously, I can't pick them all because Chicago plays Detroit, and I wouldn't pick Detroit even with a gun to my head, even though I have a couple times this year. But yeah, I mean, I just got coming off that win against Green Bay. I mean, are they gonna keep that hype? And just that secondary is not a. I'm not a big fan of the 49ers secondary. I mean, Josh Norman is, I think, even leads the league in like forced fumbles for him, which I mean, still good for him for doing that. I mean, following in Charles Tillman's footsteps. I don't know. I think this will be a fun game. I think this maybe could be the game of the week
Yeah, it could be.
when we're talking kind of offensive potential. But Minnesota's run defense, I mean, it's got. Yeah, I mean, I'm going Minnesota. I can't. I gotta stop thinking. Next up, we have another AFC North divisional game. We got the Cleveland Browns heading to Baltimore to play the Ravens. Um, both these teams have had some issues with some injuries. I mean, Lamar Jackson's been dealing with an injury, and they still popped out a win against Chicago on the road.
I think I'm gonna pick Baltimore. I just think they're.
This
I
is
don't know.
this is a
I just
tough
don't
one.
know about Cleveland. I like Cleveland, but I just don't know. I just don't know.
This is a tough one. I mean, we
It
we
is a tough one.
we know how good the Browns are at running the game. We saw last week Baltimore kind of that's what allowed them to stay in the or to win that game was because they were able to stop for the most part Chicago from running the ball. Um,
Yep.
I don't. This is a tough game because these divisional games can always go any way. I mean, it's they see each other all the time. They kind of know some of their tendencies. Especially
It
these
really
two,
can.
especially these two teams who had some of the most exciting games last year. When we look at kind of their um, late game, it was one of the most exciting games. I mean, Lamar Jackson had to take a break to go to the toilet for a little bit, so hopefully, he figures out his illness, so he doesn't have to do that again this week. I'll join. I'll go with the home team. I'll go Baltimore with you.
Oh, you're struggling a lot with these games this week.
These are tough games. I mean, a lot of these teams are honestly still trying to not figure themselves out, but like we don't really know what they're like. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
and there's a lot of blowouts this year. I mean, we've seen it with Tennessee. Like, hey, we've kind of put them out in front, and like they aren't that good. But then next, they go on this amazing win streak, but then lose to some of the you know worst teams in the NFL. So I mean, there's just so much up in the air compared to this year. There's a lot of teams that it can really go any way, and we haven't really, I
Oh
don't
yeah,
think, seen it as much
that's
in years
definitely true.
past. So it's hard to do a thing like this and just pick games. It's you might in some circumstances just find more luck in getting them right, picking them out of a hat, or doing just some lucky draw.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
So it is definitely a struggle to pick some of these games. Especially, this is a Sunday night game. It's a prime time game. Who's going to show up? Is Lamar going to be, back from his illness? We don't still really don't know what's going on.
You would think so, but yeah, we don't know
You
for
would
sure.
think so, but I don't know. It'll be tough. It'll be a fun game. It's always a fun game when these two teams play, no matter who's starting. But
Yep.
last, but certainly not least, maybe a little bit on the least side, we have Seattle Seahawks heading into the capital to play the Washington football team. Washington football team coming off a really good win against Carolina. Seattle struggling even with Russell Wilson. There's a lot of people talking about, is this kind of the end for the Wilson, Pete Carroll era in Seattle?
I think so, but
I mean, I think so, but it doesn't matter what's going to happen at the end of the year. It's about what's going to happen in this game only on Monday night. I don't know. This is another one of those struggle games.
I'm gonna keep for president. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna go Washington.
I'm gonna go Seattle. I think they gotta figure themselves out. I mean, there's
We've been
some
saying that for how many years?
too many. Pretty much since that they threw that interception on the 1 yard line.
Yep.
But I mean, I don't know. These two teams are
They relied
just
on their defense. It was more than Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson got a lot of the credit, but
But now it's just like, they have some potential on offense. They have DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. They have a handful of running backs who can get things done. And just nothing.
Still no offensive line. So
You know, that will forever be their downfall, is not getting Russell Wilson an offensive line. At least we got some good highlights out of it for him, running around like
oh yeah,
crazy.
oh yeah.
It'll be interesting to see, maybe where Russell Wilson goes. It seems like the QB market is kind of opening up a little bit more when you consider him, Aaron Rodgers, maybe even Baker Mayfield, depending on how the rest of the season goes. And hey, don't. There's a certain backup quarterback in Buffalo too who should be getting some looks. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm gonna go Seattle. And by the way, that backup quarterback is Mitchell Trubisky. But that's the end of our little picks. So let's move on to the Out of Legend segment, which, of course, is where we look at an NFL team and its past to find a player who will help them, be the best they can be to potentially win the Super Bowl. But in a case like this week, as we've seen in recent, it'll be more to just try to win a couple games. As for this week, we are looking at the Houston Texans. And, it's hard for a team like the Houston Texans because they are, I think the youngest team. Yeah, they are the youngest team in the NFL. So they don't have, a wide variety to pick from. And it also doesn't help for a good chunk of their past. They have, kind of been on the losing side of things. I mean, during the 2010s, they had some nice teams, but a part of that problem with them is some of those players are still in the league. Like, J.J. Watt is probably one of the players we would all go for, but, one of the stipulations is they have to be retired, so we can't really use him. But knowing these kind of things, who do you think, Brett, would be the
I'm
guy
gonna
to
go
go to?
Andre Johnson. That's the easy. Yeah, that was the only one that I could really wrap my head around saying he's a legend.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, he's one of the best, wide receivers of the 2010s.
I probably would have said Dwayne Brown if he wasn't still playing.
I mean, Andre Johnson's definitely a good one. I mean, he's kind of the person you think of when you think of the Texans, other than maybe, of course, J.J. Watt. But, he's a really good receiver for a long time. One of my favorite receivers of the 2010s when you think of guys like him, Calvin Johnson, even Julio Jones, among many others. I mean, there's so many I can't even think on the top of my head. I'm going to go a little bit different direction. The person I thought of first was kind of Arian Foster. I mean, not even just for his story, this undrafted free agent running back who turns into one of the best running backs in the NFL, but he was just a really good player, and for a little bit of that team was kind of the heart of that team, even with Andre Johnson there. I mean, yeah, they kind of relied a lot on Arian Foster. I mean, he led the NFL in touchdowns twice in the span of 3 years. I mean, he was really the heart of those early 2010 teams, and he's a really fun player to watch.
Oh yeah, he was. When he didn't have hamstring issues.
Oh yeah,
Both of them actually.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of the down. I mean, when you put the team on your back, there's only so much you can do sometimes. I mean, it would be those early 2010s Texans teams were like them in Indianapolis for a lot of the time were fighting for that kind of number one spot, not just in the AFC but kind of in the in the AFC South, but in the
Oh yeah, they
entire
definitely
AFC.
were.
Them. Obviously you got the Patriots, Pittsburgh. I mean, those Indianapolis and the Texans kind of fought on each other for the longest time.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, I mean Foster just. I mean, he was kind of one of my favorite non-Bears players for a little while. He just reminded me a lot, honestly, of Matt Forte, who played at the same time. Very similar run styles, and that's probably why I liked him so much.
Very smooth runner.
Oh yeah, definitely one of very smooth. Some of he just his cutting skills were immaculate. But that's all we have for you today. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification, give us all that feedback you want. Tell us how good we are. Tell us how bad we are. Just tell us whatever you want. Even just hey, tell us about your day. How good of a day are you guys having? Just let us know. Our social
Smash
medias.
that like button.
Oh, smash it every single time. I don't want you not smashing the like button. Our social medias, they'll be linked down below. Um, just enjoy the football this weekend. Enjoy your turkey, your tofu turkey, whatever it is you eat, enjoy it and have, very good Thanksgiving weekend, everybody.
Yep. Happy Turkey Day, everyone.
Happy Turkey Day.